Starting recording now. I always begin by asking, how many of these typing sessions of mine have you seen before?
Too many. I honestly, the past week, I found your channel and I have seen all the way through probably more than six. Um,
Okay,
and
well,
I love them so much, but now I feel like I wish I didn't know like some of the things that happen. So I'll let you know if I'm familiar with like an anecdote or something like that. But
okay, cool.
I wish I was coming in with a fresh pair of eyes, but I've seen so many of them.
Okay, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because, like, I can then ask you, what do you think I'm going for with this? And I can sort of figure out where you are with your, like, etc. Okay, so anyway, can we start with the normal SI thing where you recount details, but not from today, but from yesterday?
Okay, so yesterday. I go to church in the mornings, and so I set my alarm for 9 a.m., but I was woken up before then. I was woken up at 8:30 because my mom said, "Oh, there's breakfast is ready." She had made French toast, and so I was like, "Okay, well, I might as well just get up and eat." I ate, and then she was like, "Okay, we're going to the early service, but I like to go to the late service." So I was like, I want to go back to sleep for another hour and then go to church later because I wasn't planning to wake up this early. But she was like, no, I just made you breakfast, so come with us now. And I was like, no, I'm not ready. So I went back to bed, set an alarm for 10, woke up at 10, but don't remember waking up because then my dad came back in my room who didn't go to the first service and because he was not feeling well. And he's like, are you going to get up? And I was like, oh, yeah. So I finally left, went to church. Church is like an hour and a half long. Afterwards, I didn't know if there was going to be lunch at home or not. So I texted my mom and she was like, I might make lunch. Then my friends were like, we're going to Wawa. So then I said, okay, I'll come to Wawa. Went to Wawa, got a chicken sub and a matcha tea, and my friend wanted to try it and I let him try it, but then he like pulled the straw out, so then I saw all the liquid go back into the drink and I forgot that he was sick, and so I was like, I don't want to drink my drink anymore. And so he was like, okay, I'll just have it then. And then his girlfriend felt bad, so then she bought me another drink. We sat at Wawa for like an hour, then I came home,
What's
was supposed to
Wawa?
send Wawa's like a gas station merged with like a place where they're gonna make like sandwiches, subs, coffee. So
Is it a
it's kind of
chain,
like,
or is it just one
yeah,
near
it's a
you?
chain.
Oh, it is a
hmm
chain. Okay.
It must be an East Coast thing then.
I guess
Um,
so. I've never heard of it before.
yeah. Went home, was supposed to send a bunch of emails, didn't send them. Went to a Christmas party where there was a gift exchange. I came home with a bag of Sour Patch Kids that's like sitting right on my desk right now.
So
And I
what
ate too
what do
many
you
of them
think
last.
I conclude from this?
Um, I feel like you're gonna conclude that my SI is strong.
I mean, that's what one would naturally conclude from that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of detail. Do you not self-identify as having strong SI?
I don't think I don't think I ever have. I feel like I've always been an observer, and so I'm able to take in more than I feel like people are in an interaction because like I'm a writer, and so through the years, like I've realized that like people don't realize 99% of what they see, or they don't remember it at least, or able to recall it at least just kind of like stereotypically. Um, and so I spend a lot of my day trying to like retain the information,
Okay.
because it helps me make things more real when I'm trying to like transition that into writing. So like trying to make sure I can remember what happened. Also, yesterday was like there was some mundane things, like I go to church every week, but like I don't go out with my friends all the time. Like most of the time I just come home, and so like I do remember some of the specific things, like the Christmas party and stuff.
Okay. Cool. Let's let me see where I want to go next. Okay. Can you talk to me about how many hours of sleep you think you need a night?
It's so bad because I can function on any. So like I was bad about getting up in the morning on Sunday because I had only gotten 2 hours of sleep. I like went to bed at 6:30 a.m. and then my mom woke me up at 8:30. And then I only got an hour of sleep after she had left. So I was working on 3 hours of sleep. So like I got in the car and drove to church on my own, like on the 3 hours of sleep. And then went through the whole day towards a Christmas party that didn't end until 10 o'clock at night. And like I felt fine. And then I stayed up last night till 3 a.m. Woke up at 10. So I'm never really like tracking it because I can kind of function on all of them, but I think I tend to burn out after a streak of like a couple days where I didn't do so well getting sleep.
Okay.
I know there's some people like my mom where she's like, if I don't get my 9 hours, like I'm gonna get frustrated, I'm gonna have a bad day, but it's never like that for me. It's like up in the air.
Okay. What do you think when you're not watching videos that are about cognitive functions or something else that you're learning something from? If you're just watching an entertaining media like a TV show or a movie or something, what kind of shows do you like?
Um, well, some of the like shows on Netflix that I like are The Queen's Gambit, which was like a chess show, but it was not really about chess. It was just kind of it was based on a novel. And then I like some anime, even though that's like embarrassing to admit sometimes to people, like not all anime is the same. So
What anime do you
like,
watch? I watch shit tons of anime.
so like I got into it because I was watching video essays about like best animes. My friend recommended Death Note, so then I watched Death Note. But then what I found was like this one director, Satoshi Kon, and he had done like a couple films, and I liked one of his films. So then I like found the other films that he did, and then I just went and watched those. So I've seen like Perfect Blue, Paprika, Millennium Actress. I'm trying to get through this other show called Neon Genesis Evangelion, but there's so many
It's
like
not that good.
there's so many episodes too where I just like it's hard to sit down and just binge them like
Have
I
you
usually
watched
like
Attack on Titan?
I watched a couple episodes of Attack on Titan and I loved the world building like the way that they kind of zoom out on that map and it shows you it's kind of convoluted but it's interesting. But I only got like 7 episodes in and then I wanted to watch some other stuff. I'm probably gonna go finish it, but like when something has multiple seasons, I'm like if you're not just one season long, like I can't do that.
Have you
Like
tried
that's why
Durarara?
no, I haven't heard of that.
Durarara is, well, I mean, it's basically one season, and then there's Durarara 2, which is another season. But that's might be the kind of show that you'd enjoy a lot because it's it's interesting and it's kind of complete. You know, it's like it. I don't know. Rachel really liked that show, but regardless, okay. So what what are you looking for in a story that really pops?
Um, it's usually some sort of intentionality, like we're trying to drive to a point. And so like the reason I liked Death Note was because it kind of had this moral question for us, this kind of philosophical of like if you could control who lives and dies, what would you do? And even, just because you can, should you? And kind of what happens to characters who take that power and use it in different ways. So people who kind of descend into madness versus other people who stand by some sort of moral compass where they say, I'm not going to do that because reasons. Like it's interesting to watch stories unfold based on like how the writers have created the characters and what sets of beliefs those characters believe and what those beliefs where they lead the character. Um, so it's got to be some sort of like this is what happens to people when these type of people are going through this situation. So like
Okay.
if you like Titanic is like the romanticism, like this is what happens when you pursue romanticism of like you have all this family over here but then there's this one great experience you're feeling over here with this person and you want to chase after that, and like, forget about all this stuff. And then obviously there's problems there because it's complicated, but kind of like where those mindsets lead you, or like Romeo and Juliet. So like the bad communication and like how that just ruins everything, because if people had talked to each other, like they would actually understand like what they were all going through, but keeping everything a secret just doomed everybody.
Okay. How are you feeling emotionally right now?
Emotionally, I feel good. I've been excited for this thing, so this is really what is making my morning. I don't have many plans today, so I don't feel like I'm not anticipating much else to happen, and so I'm kind of like, I was in a neutral state, but I'm happy to be doing this. So I guess I'm happy and a little excited. I'm also a little bit nervous because I feel like I feel like my understanding of cognitive functions and MBTI in general is not just elementary. Like I feel like it's to that point where I start saying things like to my family, and they're like, okay, stop talking crazy, like come back to earth, like we're not just a bunch of computer program like cognitive functions. No, like you guys don't understand. So part of me is like, if I couldn't see myself and then I come into this like getting a different type than I thought I was, then I might be like, dang, like we really can't see ourselves. Like that's what's, I think that there's a little bit of anxiety underneath.
Okay. And how are you feeling physically right now? Any aches and pains, stiff shoulder, something like that?
Um, I don't know. I don't really, I don't check in with my body often. Like I didn't eat breakfast today, and I'm like, I should probably eat breakfast. Like my mom put waffles out on the counter, and I'm like, I'm gonna take forever to eat. Like I need to like get ready and like prepare, and I don't want to be late to this thing because it's this thing. And so I was like, I can't eat the waffles, Mom. I'm gonna eat later. Who knows when I'll eat though, and who knows what I'll eat. I don't really know what I'm gonna eat. Um, so I'm probably a little. I feel a little hungry. Like I could eat right now, but
Right. Okay. How do you think I feel emotionally right now?
I feel like there must be some sort of like instinct that you get where you're feeling like, okay, this person's going to be this, and there's probably some sort of thrill to unraveling that, like, okay, I'm right about this, I'm right about this, like when you're asking the questions, getting the answers that you were already ready to hear. So it's like, because you've probably seen
It's
the things that you're
frustrating when you
seeing through
don't,
me.
though. It's frustrating when you
Right,
don't.
like maybe you're getting stuck on someone, and then but maybe there's thrill in that, because maybe you're like, dang, I really want to crack this code here because I know I have the correct code. I just need to go through the steps correctly, because maybe someone's being really weird with the way they're answering questions, or maybe they're just like contradicting themselves and stuff. But
Well,
I feel like you're having a good time. I know that it's early morning over there, so I was like, dang,
I've
I
already
really need to
had a
like go.
typing before this one.
Oh, okay.
I had
Because
a
I was
7 a.m. That one I was a little
Because I
sleepy for.
realized that, because I was like, oh, Monday morning will work, and then I was like, wait, there's like a 3 hour difference there. And then I was like, wait, 11:30, okay, 10, 9, 8, 8:30, and I never, other than school, like I hate, and church, like yesterday, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up in the morning. Like I'll sleep till 1 p.m.
Okay. So, you write. Can you tell me what kind of things you write?
So I write a lot of poetry. I took a form and technique in fiction class this fall semester, and so I got back into writing fiction a lot, and I get frustrated with my fiction because like I had my parents read it because I don't want to be embarrassed of it. So I should be able to show them if I care about it and if I want to like make something good. And like my dad will walk away saying like, I don't know what you were trying to convey here. Like what were you trying to make me feel? And sometimes my professor would have that, because like there's this one piece I wrote about a husband and wife having dinner, but they have a toxic relationship, and so he's just a cold villain, and she's an enabler, so she's letting this happen, and the relationship won't last long. But I didn't give them an end. It was just kind of a snapshot, like if you were a fly on the wall just watching their dinner conversation of like, this is the everyday. And my dad was like, what is this supposed to mean? Like, I don't feel encouraged. I don't feel the characters changing. I don't see resolution. And I was trying to get towards a truth of like, this is what some people's lives look like. This is a miserable thing.
People don't
But
want to
like,
read that.
yeah, but like he was like, where's the growth? Where's redemption? And so I was like, dang it.
People like
So
happy stories.
yeah, and I'm not like that at all. Like all my poetry is sad. All my fiction is some sort of like angst. I feel like I need to get past this like emo phase that I'm going through, like where I just want to be emotional all the time.
I got two pieces of perfect advice for anything you write: titties and car explosions.
Say that again.
Titties and car explosions.
I don't know what that means.
That's if you include enough titties and enough car explosions in your writing, you got a hit on your hands.
Oh, car explosions. See, I didn't know what you said. I thought you were like talking Latin or something. I thought it was like a phrase that people said. Car explosions. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the first thing?
Titties.
Oh, yeah.
Titties and car explosions.
You're correct. Yeah.
Let me pull this bomb rip. I'll be right with you.
I'll tell you, I've never written a car explosion. I've written about a house fire, so I don't know if that's probably runner-up.
The key thing is the car explosion has to be a ticking clock. There has to be somebody trapped in the car. Your hero's got to be coming to rescue them, and she's stuck. Help! Help!
Too late.
No, not
Yeah.
too late. No, you got it all wrong.
Sorry. Oh, okay, we got it. Okay.
He saves her in the nick of time, and then the car explosion as they're diving away with her titties out. That's blockbuster. So, do you want to be a professional like literature writer? Because there's not a huge market for literature out there.
Yeah, this is what happened. So like I want to go somewhere with it, but it can't be plan A because then it's like, okay, good luck, Alec. But like that's why I'm saying like, okay, I can just do this on the side. Like I can just write on the side. So like the fiction class was just an elective. Like I'm a biology major. Well, I just graduated this semester, so now I have my diploma, but like I did the sciences and then I'm like, okay, on the side I can write, and then if ever anything comes of that, like that'll be nice, but it's not the end all be all. Like my dream job is to be an author or some sort of art. And I like narrative, so I feel like I would want to write novels, but I'm not that good yet. I'm kind of bad. Um,
It's hard to write novels. I mean,
it is
it's
poetry too, because poetry is like it's even less words, and so the words are way more important. Like the words you choose, like every single word has to have meant to be there. Like every single word has to have a purpose on the page. So I get frustrated with poetry too, because sometimes I'm just like writing emo trash when I'm sad at night, but then like other times I'm like, wait, I actually want it to be good, because if I'm ever gonna get better.
Have you tried writing metered verse?
Say it again.
Have you
Sorry.
tried writing metered verse?
Doing like different forms. I took a class. I took a class on the form and techniques, but then I like went back to free verse because I was like, man, it's hard to keep track of that stuff. And I know it's better because it trains your brain to like care. Um, and I love forms. Like one of my favorite forms is the sestina. Um, Never did sonnets though. I should try a sonnet.
Well, I mean, by and large, I would say that the metric form is more significant than the construction form. So it's like if your lines are consistently iambic pentameter, like so every line sounds like but like then it makes it more interesting for me because it's like at least now I know what I have to do. Whereas if I'm just writing, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing here, right?
Oh, it's true. Yeah, yeah. It becomes less foggy. Like it's not amorphous anymore because you've got the code.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you some TI questions. We'll see how we do with those. If some penguins like chicken nuggets and only things that like chicken nuggets eat Big Macs, is it necessarily the case that some penguins eat Big Macs?
Yes.
No. If only people from Egypt build pyramids, and I build pyramids, am I necessarily from Egypt?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that one before though.
If some birds enjoy flying, and all things that enjoy flying like to land, is it necessarily the case that some birds like to land?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is my mother's father's wife's only daughter in relationship to me?
My mom. Your
Okay.
mom.
Right. Who is my father's sister's only son's sister's only cousin in relationship to me?
Is that just me?
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If either John or Bob go to the baseball game, then Mary will stay home. And Mary stays home. Can we conclude that either John or Bob went to the baseball game?
If Mary's home, then neither of them went to the game.
No, not necessarily. Okay, that's your. So you're sort of splitting the difference here on the TI questions.
Okay.
Okay. Talk to me about music that you listen to, and whether when you first hear a song, how long it takes you to know whether it's a good song or not, and then
Hmm.
what qualities it has to have to make it into your long-term playlist.
So I have a couple of different genres. I like a lot of different pop, indie pop, experimental pop, art pop. Um, I like electronic music. I like ambient music, so like some drone ambience, and then I love soundtrack music. And so what I have is like I have a giant curation of like multiple playlists for different moods. And so like when I'm in the car, I kind of want that driving beat of like a good pop song. Because if it's like a big like spatial like crawling, sprawling like soundtrack, I'm gonna fall asleep and like die. And so I pick like some nice songs from artists where I like the lyricism isn't that important to me because it's more of like the mood of like I'm in the car, like I'm bouncing in my seat, maybe the sun's setting and I'm driving on the highway. Um, Soundtracks like it's got to be like an orchestral arrangement or maybe like Hans Zimmer where it's just like masterly. I usually know when I like a song, except when I'm listening to like industrial, like experimental electronic music, like a lot of the times it's very abrasive the first time I listen to it, but then it like grows on me. So like I have to give the song a second chance because if it's like a 5 minute long song and when it ends I don't even remember what it sounded like, I'm like, well, of course then I have to listen to it again to decide whether or not it was good. And then at that point sometimes it just grows on me. Um but when I'm sitting at home, like I like to have kind of like a melancholic, like lo-fi vibe. And so a lot of the times the lyrics matter there because if they're talking about like, if they're feeling wistful or yearning, like I'm trying to tap into that too. And so like the lyrics become very important to me. And so what I'll go is like when I find a new artist or when I'm listening to songs, which I rarely explore new artists because when I find an artist, I just like deep dive into their discography. So like I'll hop onto genius.com and like when I'm going through an album start to finish, because I like to do that, like I'll go song by song, like reading the lyrics as it's playing. Sometimes that it ruins the emotional mood of like things like happening before you can expect them because I've already read everything and then I'm like anticipating. Um, but it's still important to me. Like it will still, I'll still be able to feel, just not the same way as maybe experiencing it like a blind date or something where I don't really know what's going to happen.
All right, can you explain your understanding of introverted feelings to me?
Introverted feeling. Um, the crude way is like imagining like they're just in tune with their own emotions, like they're not in charge of other people's feelings. But I think it's also like not registering the other people's feelings as something to account for when making decisions as much. um and not like social harmony, like not upholding social harmony, but even like what should I talk about right now, or like what should I say. I feel like an introverted feeling is like it tells you what you want to do, and then you feel less convictions about the outside world because it's like an inner compass that's driving you.
Okay. What do you
and
think?
and it
Have you heard the story of the old man, the mule, and the boy before?
No, I'm not familiar with that title.
Okay, well, it goes like this. There's an old man, a boy, and a mule, and they're walking together, and they're all walking. And then somebody passes by and says, "Why are you walking, old man? You should ride the mule. You shouldn't have to walk." So the old man gets on the mule. They pass somebody else, and he goes, "Why are you making that child walk, old man? You should walk and let the child ride the mule." So they switch places. And then somebody else says, "Well, why are you making the old man walk and just having the child ride? Child doesn't weigh very much. Why doesn't the old man ride too?" So then they both get on the mule. Then somebody else says, "Why are you treating that mule so badly, having you both ride it? Why don't you let it walk by itself?" So they both get off the mule. So what's the moral of that story, and do you think it's an important moral to apply in life?
It's got to be something in the sphere of like people's perspective of a snapshot of a scenario can be there's a disconnect there, they haven't seen how long they've been walking. They don't know who's the strongest out of all of them. They're making assumptions about that group of people. um and that group of people is in charge of like, okay, if this person's tired, then they should ride the donkey. Like, and if this person is fine walking, they should walk. And if everybody's fine, then like they can figure it out. And like the people on the outside are sitting here like trying to speak into a situation that they don't really, it's not relevant for them to have an opinion about it because they just don't know. They don't know what they're they
Okay,
don't know
so,
what's
so
going.
you see the story more as a commentary on the people who say things to the people walking by than.
Yeah, like I feel like the guy and the kid are fine. Like when they're gonna get tired, like they'll get on the donkey, or maybe they won't, but who knows? I don't really know the emotional states of those people, but obviously, I guess not obviously, but the people outside feel enough conviction to speak in on the situation when like not much is going on.
Okay, interesting. So, do you think if you walked by the child and the man both riding on the donkey, that you would just be like, "That's fine"? Or do you think if it looked like the donkey was tired and struggling, do you think you'd say something?
Mm, that's tough because I feel like I would want to be the type of person to step in and help, but I think I'm probably gonna watch and feel bad about it. I'll probably think about it for the rest of the day and be like, what would have happened if I had said something? But in the moment, I'm gonna run it through my head, like, okay, I'm gonna say this to them, I'm gonna say this to them, and then like maybe they'll say this, like they might retaliate and get mad at me, and then they've walked by at that point, and then I'm like, oh, whatever, like the moment's gone.
Okay, interesting. So, do you think later today you'll feel bad about not having intervened on this hypothetical mule with the hypothetical man and boy on it?
Like maybe this is the wrong answer. Maybe I'm supposed to like fight for this donkey. I don't know. It's a good donkey.
Okay, that's funny. So, can you talk to me about your own relationship with task completion?
Task completion. It's so bad. I I procrastinate so bad that every single assignment that I have to do, it's getting done the day of. Like I'm like I had an entire semester paper that I had to write, and we knew all semester from the start of August, and he's like, "All right, it's due in November, guys. It's due in November." And I'm sitting there saying like, "Should I start that paper sometime?" And I'm like, man, I don't really want to do that. And he forced like a midterm like check-in, like please show me your outline. And I waited to do that till the day of the midterm check. I was like, okay, then I just threw in this BS outline, got like a mediocre grade on that. And then I was like, okay, well, at least there's like a skeletal structure now. So when I save it till the last day, like I can just kind of fill out the spaces. And so I sat there, I was like, every day I was like, I've got that paper coming up. Should I do it? And it was like a scientific paper where he says you need primary resources, at least 16. Um, I wait till the day of to say, okay, I'm going to start looking for sources now to write this paper. And I like, even the day of, I woke up, it was noon already. I was like, wow, I've lost half the day. 2 o'clock comes by, I'm like on YouTube. I'm like, okay, I got the paper. And then I'm like 3, 4, 5. And like at 5, I was like, oh, finally, I'm gonna do this paper. It's due at midnight. If I don't get it done, this is 10% of my grade. So I started at 5 and I just went all the way till 10 o'clock at night. It was like 5 full hours of writing. When I could have split it up on a couple days, did an hour or two, and I would have been okay, but like every single time.
How much
And
time do
it's
you
so
think
bad.
you spent reminding yourself and thinking about the fact that you had this paper to do?
Every time I went into that class, I remembered that paper was due, and that was twice a week. And I was like, that thing's coming up. And he never talked about it, but I knew it was happening. Because all those other kids in that class were so, like, conscientious. They were like, oh, yeah, like, I worked on it. Like, I started studying for the exam the first week of classes. And I'm like, I don't do anything the first week of classes. Like, and I don't even take notes anymore. So, like, these people were showing me up. They were like, yeah, I've been finding resources and I've been getting frustrated. And I was like, you guys have sources? Like, I'm sitting here like waiting and hoping that the assignment will just disappear.
So that's pretty SE polar sounding. How about your own creative endeavors? Do you start stories that you leave unfinished? Do you start writing that you leave unfinished, or do you tend to finish things?
I've had a couple projects where I wanted to write something with a lot of concepts that I even did like I did like research. Like I had to actually go on the internet and like figure stuff out to write about it. And then I got like 30,000 words in. And then I realized like the project was so much bigger than I thought it was, and I felt very ill-equipped. Like I knew if I saw it through till the end, the product was going to be so bad that you couldn't recover it. Like there was no way to like improve it. So I was like, maybe in the future when I hone my craft, I can tackle an idea like this. It had to do with like things like sci-fi, and that's an advanced genre where it's like it's very hard to nail that. You have to read a lot of sci-fi in order to write sci-fi. And so I sat there and I said, I'm not prepared to do this. So I just quit because I was like, I need to spend my time doing things that are realistic. And so I turned to short stories. After that, I was like, I limped away, like writing like 3-page pieces instead. And so like,
It's a good strategy, really.
I think I'm gonna like build up momentum, and then I'll tackle something colossal when I feel like I have a bigger catalog. But I was starting off like trying to like write all these crazy like epics, and I was like, this is not realistic.
Okay. Can you break down the task of taking the dog for a walk into exactly 5 steps?
Okay. Obtain the dog. Put a leash on the dog. Go outside to the sidewalk. Walk around however long you want to until you get home.
Okay, that's good. That's 5 steps.
Oh, 5. Oh, shoot.
I mean, that was 5. I counted them as you did them.
Okay.
But let's try another one. Can you break down taking out the trash into exactly 4 steps?
Okay. Taking the trash to the bin in the garage, or taking that bin in the garage to like the curb.
Taking the trash to the bin in the garage.
Okay. Open the trash can if it's like one of those brown ones, like with the pedal, like open that, grab the trash can and grab the trash bag and lift it out of the trash can. Did you say 4 steps?
Yeah, 4 steps. That's 2.
Tie the bag, and sometimes you have to double knot it, but tie the bag, walk. Oh no, I'm running out of steps. Go as fast as you can to that bin and just throw it in. That's 1.5 steps.
Okay, okay. Can you solve California's drought problem?
Okay. So they're having droughts. They're a lot of the land maybe can't be cultivated anymore. Where's the rain? So you guys should just leave. You guys should just go somewhere else now. Like maybe that place is a bad place to live. Like if you can't get water, like how are you gonna drink?
Well,
So
that's
maybe
what we're asking you to solve.
well, I mean, we've got a lot of like water over here in Florida. I know it's bad water because they put like fluoride and stuff in it, but I guess not everybody can move, so I need a better solution here. Get like some crazy company that's like gonna take ocean water and filter it to become like, I don't know if this is even possible, but maybe they can filter seawater and make drinkable water. I don't think seawater is able to be.
You can desalinate it.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
cool.
I believe in that. Some of these companies are a bit.
Desalination is a good enough solution. Okay. Can you come up with some possible reasons why the United States should invade Canada?
I've heard of this analogy before.
Okay, let me ask you a different one. Can you come up with? Have you heard the submarine question?
Yes. What the reason someone would be a submariner?
How about reasons why England should cede its sovereignty to Italy?
Did you say secede?
It should cede its sovereignty, which means it should say, we agree now, we want to become part of Italy. We don't want to be our own country anymore.
Oh, they're merging. Okay.
But they're merging into one Italy instead of one England.
Oh, wow. Given up.
They're giving up. Yeah, the English reasons why the English should just give up being English and just become Italian.
They want to. They want to be able to get more, say, like land, because maybe they're getting crowded in there. Maybe England's kind of getting crowded in the streets. They want a they want to absorb Italy's culture because they realize Italy's culture is better or something. They want to. In the geography of Europe, like, are they both on the same coast or are they on?
Well, I mean, England's an island, and Italy is part of Europe. It's the boot part that sticks
They
down.
want to get the big land, so they're trying to get in on like some of the plots of land that they don't have access to now. So now they'll be able to. More people can do more stuff now, because if you got all of Italy now, like, sure, you guys are Italians now, sorry, but you also got all this other great stuff that they can do now. Like there's places and things that Italy does that maybe England can't do.
Okay. Have you heard me ask Inky Pinky questions before?
Inky Pinky questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of the Inky Pinky questions. I love them. I tried it on like a couple of my friends. And one girl got rabbit habit right away. I was like, wow, nice. And the other people were like, is that a thing? Is rabbit habit a thing? And I was like, it's not.
Can you make up one for me?
Okay. Liquid. Child.
A water daughter.
Yep.
Okay, cool. you find it relatively easy to come up with those? If you,
I mean,
if you,
I should try a couple more. Should I try one or two?
yeah, try a couple more. Let me see how.
Okay.
Try to come up with a hard one.
A hard one.
And
So like three syllables.
while you're thinking, I'll go pee. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. It looks like my dad's coming here.
Mm-hmm.
Come on in, Dad.
What time do you want to go?
About 10.
10.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. Hit me.
Dissolving enamorment.
Dissolving enamorment. Affection dissection?
No, but I like that.
What's the answer?
It was evaporation infatuation.
Yours, that works a little bit better than mine, but yeah, that's a good one. Okay, cool. So I feel pretty confident about your type, but let me just do this to check and eliminate another possible type, or try to. Can you say the following sentence? Oh, that's a brilliant idea. First seriously and then sarcastically?
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. Oh, that's a brilliant idea.
Okay. Pretty good. Do you feel as though you generally can tell when people are being sarcastic?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's a more important value for you to uphold being socially graceful or following through on stuff you say you're going to do?
Following through stuff you said. Following through what?
Following through on stuff you said you're going to do.
Man, I really do the social grace stuff, but I think it's more important to follow through.
Okay. Do you think, how much of that do you think comes from you find it more difficult to follow through?
I think I see it as my weakness, and so I know it's something like I think it's more important versus like being socially graceful. Like it doesn't come hard to me. Like I don't get frustrated because I know how it works. Like Like, there's right words you have to say. There's ways you have to be nice to people. And then if you mess up, like, if you apologize the right way, like, people might just let you kind of slide. But with, like, the following through, it's like, those are the things that are getting things done. Like, being just graceful is not really accomplishing much. So, like, I know that, like, being reliable is, in the end, it's more valuable in a way.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty convinced that you are an INFP. Can you tell me what you thought you were coming in?
Dang, I thought I was an INFJ.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you're an INFP. Your extroverted intuition is too robust and for an INFJ to be displaying consistently. The way you talk is too extrovertedly intuitive as well. You really like to talk things out, whereas introverted intuitors, Rachel doesn't have much to say, frankly. I mean, she's a very quiet woman. She makes occasional observations, and when you ask her questions, she gives you answers like up it up it up. And that's the answer, you know. So you don't have that NI quality. You've got an NE quality, and you certainly wouldn't be the first person in the world to mistype themselves as an INFJ when they're an INFP, because the type descriptions do a poor job of distinguishing between FI and FE. What your artistic process, like everything about you says NE to me, and the third slot SI is about what I expect to see from that. So yeah, I'm pretty confident you're an INFP. But if you'd like to give me any pushback on that, or challenge it, or ask me any questions or something, please go ahead and do so.
I don't want to challenge it because I trust you. Because I know your process is working. Like, you've got to have like a 99% accuracy rate, like 1% being our margin of error. But like, I think some of the things that like made me think I was an INFJ was, well, you talk about the third slot and how it's kind of like what you want to be seen as. And so with the TI, like, people are always like, oh, Alec, like, you suck, or like, oh, you're overly emotional. I'm like, yeah, whatever, whatever. And then as soon as like someone's like, you're being irrational, I'm like, hold up. How am I irrational? Give me an example in any instance where I was irrational. I was talking to this friend, and she's like generalizing. She's saying like, well, you're an overthinker, and overthinkers tend to generalize, like be irrational. Therefore, you are irrational. I was like, no, bring the receipt. Like, I want to see it. So I thought that was like my insecurity, maybe, like wanting to be viewed as like full on like TI, like mastermind, logic master.
Well, I mean, I've called the eighth slot function before the insecurity function. So, it's like, you want to make me feel insecure, talk to me about not doing enough. You know, I do all kinds of shit. I may not be smart about what I do, but
Yeah.
I do plenty of stuff. It's like, you can accuse me of working dumb, and I'll agree with you and self-criticize. But to accuse me of not working enough will make me very angry. So, because it's not fair, right? It's like, I do work a lot. I'm just stupid about how I work. That's all.
Yeah.
So the thing is, same thing with you and TI. When, as far as you're concerned, your TI is robust when it needs to be, and that's what matters. And so you're going to take offense when somebody critiques you as being irrational. The third slot is where you get your satisfaction. So where you get your satisfaction is from basically building a life narrative about yourself that includes a variety of things that you've accomplished or written or created or something that that makes you have an increasingly concretized sense of your own creativity. With INTPs, that's going to come out as some sort of like logical system of philosophy or whatever. With INFPs, it's going to come out just as you are expressing with your writing. So it's like you're trying to, when you write that thing, that vignette about the miserable couple, you're trying to convey, the message you're trying to convey really is, it's important that people, care about what's important and be kind to one another. And this is some of the ways in which people are awful to each other. But the thing is, people don't like learning lessons like that. They want to learn lessons like, here's the hero defying that bad stuff and representing the side of good and winning.
Yeah.
So it's like an INFJ would start with too much that and have to move more towards you, and you're starting too much you and have to move more towards that. If you want people to be popularly successful, so that's the other thing is, for you it may be the case that what's most important is that your art and your work authentically represents your vision and your feelings and other things like that. Whereas for me or an INFJ, like with me especially, it's like, if people don't like it, there's very few things that I think are good, even though people don't like them, that I make, So I'm a little bit like the guy and the kid and the mule. I tend to just go, oh, that, you think I should go? Okay. That's third slot FE. It's a downfall of third slot FE, is that we are very ultimately movable by sets of responses that seem to indicate a general response. So what do you think are qualities of the INFP that you think you don't have or didn't think you had?
I thought, like, lead FI, I thought I could see that in other people, and I didn't think I saw that in myself. Because I kind of saw that, like, that crippling power of FE and how it can cause people to just kind of act in a way that's more communal and less independent. Like, I thought I saw that in me, but like, because lead FI, it feels like this thing charging forward. That FE doesn't feel like that. So I thought I had FE, at least in the top 4.
Well, the thing is, extroverted feeling spends its time managing other people's perceptions of the self and concerning itself with those perceptions. So there's a lot of neuroticism built into FE. Now, FI is hard for me to explain. But like, when I explain to INFPs the following thing, or NFPs in general, that, like, for me, when I feel things, I have to spend some time figuring out what I should feel. So it's like, I feel something, maybe like guilty or something, because maybe I'm not spending enough time with my dad or something like that. That's the kind of thing that tends to kick in my FI, or that I haven't visited my mom in the nursing home in a while. Well, if it's a simple question like that, then it's fairly straightforward, I guess. I should go do something and make myself not feel guilty. But if it's a more complicated question, like maybe my dad yelled at me about something, and he was really, because he had his feelings hurt by something, and but he didn't get mad explicitly about that, but about this other thing, and I'm trying to figure out whether I'm mad at him or feeling guilty. One of those kind of things is a very long process for me to figure out, and ultimately I'm trying to conclude how I should feel. Now, most NFPs don't think that that's a question that needs to be answered, really, how I should feel. They think that they feel how they feel, and sometimes they can talk themselves into not prioritizing that, but the idea of figuring out how they do feel, or what they feel, is kind of preposterous because they understand it implicitly. So, I mean, I don't know, do you identify with that?
I don't know, because I always thought my emotions confused me. But maybe I just it's hard to see yourself because it's a lot of unconscious, and so maybe you can perceive, oh yes, this person knows how they feel about it, but they're just not in tune with that yet. Like like maybe the way I'm communicating is saying a lot more about how I feel than what I'm actually registering. Versus like maybe the FE stance is like be neutral for as long as possible before you get to like a conclusion of like what is the right emotion to feel here.
Right. Well, actually, I mean, the FE as a tool function is literally continually paying attention to how other people are and making other people happy, more or less, and not paying attention to themselves at all until some boundary gets crossed, and then they go, okay, actually, maybe I need to express my feelings here. They prefer to not have to have an opinion on anything, basically, and just go with the flow to some extent. It depends on the individual and how that exactly plays out. And of course, being FE tool means also being aware that you might be perceived too much as that, and so therefore adjusting accordingly. I see you as more authentically you than I see you as more authentically a mirror.
Mm.
There's a lot of reasons why FE and FI get confused, but ultimately it's about where your attention is. If your attention is directed feelings wise towards other people primarily, then you're using extroverted feeling. If your attention is directed towards your own feelings primarily, whether you're trying to understand them, don't understand them, or whatever, whether you're paying attention to them, that's an introverted feeling. I have a hard time explaining introverted feeling because it's my blind spot.
Mm.
But it's also doing an interesting calculus. So when you're trying to decide, when you try to make a choice, introverted feeling decides what choice is best for you.
Sorry, I got quiet because I'm taking it all in. I'm trying to absorb because like it's like a full on frame shift because like all the functions that the INFJ had, I had kind of like in that in that zone, and I was filling in myself in those boxes, and now I have to do the same for INFP now, where I have to say, okay, the patterns you were seeing are actually this thing over here, not what you thought it was over here.
Sure. And the thing is, third slot and eighth slot look a lot alike. You can't really tell them apart in terms of the testing. So your TI would work either way, right? And you identify as an intuitive and a feeler, so it makes sense that a lot of those same boxes would seem to check if you're looking at type descriptions and stuff. And the main difference is, like you shifted right there from introverted feeling to extroverted feeling. When you were in your introverted feeling spot there, just sitting with it and trying to figure out what you thought about it and what you felt about it, that was what I normally experience with INFP clients, where I, at the end, go, okay, well, I guess that was, I hope they're happy. Because the thing is, INFPs always, or frequently, make me nervous because they don't tend to give a lot of explicit extroverted feeling directed attention to reassuring me that I've done a good job in the way that an INFJ would, I guess.
Yes, because I saw one of those videos where you admitted that to an INFP. It had to be like a recent video or something. It was some business student studying in Japan, but he was kind of sitting there like absorbing things, but he wasn't giving cues. And like you admitted to him, like, I don't know what you're gonna do once we end this call. Like you might just move on and just like do whatever. And versus like you're like, I'm not getting the confirmations that everything's good. Like you're cool with this.
Right. And the reason for that is simply that you won't know what you think or feel about this until you spent the rest of the day sitting with it and both thinking it through and feeling it through. Like your TI is in service of your FI. Since this is an important question to you, you're going to direct a lot of TI attention to it as well, and eventually you'll just decide what you decide about it.
Yeah, what an interesting diagnosis. Because I came in with the one-track mindset of like, okay, is this the confirmation? And now getting a different result. Now, it's not as different as like saying like, oh, you're an ESFJ, Alec. I would be like, oh my gosh, what on earth? That this is. But like INFP, like this is a code that I can say, okay, if I think about this, I probably work this way.
Well, yeah, and INFPs are in general tricksy in the sense that they can express in lots of different ways. With SI as a learning function in the third slot, with TI as eighth slot, they can test as quite logical. With TE front stack, they can do the TE stuff. So, you gotta. The SE polar, though, you scream SE polar when you talk about your relationship with completing tasks. That's just like.
Yeah, and I thought that was the INFJ's fourth slot, because I thought I was like, can everybody else just do that for me? Because I'm fine with that. And I thought that was the fourth slot there, like just being inferior there, but I didn't think it was subconscious.
No, what you're describing is just this complete lack of awareness that you are spending more hours thinking about, worrying about, and reminding yourself of this thing that you have to do than you actually spend doing it, which is quite similar to my relationship with the tax document that I got last month, which I thought I was done with the whole thing. So, I thought I was done with that process. So I didn't expect to get this additional document. And I put off reading it until towards the end of the month. I figured, okay, I better deal with this. And I opened it, and it was just confirmation that I was done. So it was like I spent a whole month worrying about this document, putting off opening it, only to discover that it wasn't even anything I had to do.
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here with unopened mail on my desk, and I'm gonna open this stuff.
It's scary to open it because then you have to do something, right?
Yeah, something's gonna happen once I open it. Like it's not already happening right now,
right.
But once I interact with it, then it will actually happen.
So that's backslot unconscious SE. And one thing that INFPs and ENTPs have in common is a similarly stupid habit of doing that kind of stuff.
I love that.
Okay, so I will stop recording now. Do you want me to share this with you privately, or are you okay with me publishing?
I'm totally okay with you publishing this. I want you to.
All right, fantastic. I'll publish it immediately.